Okay. I know you're probably tired of listening to all this lo-fi music and watching me create stuff, and instead would rather hear a voice at this point. Well, here you go. Now we're going to be taking a look at the pathway to an ideal modeling workflow. At the start of most Maya projects, I say most, at the start of every Maya project, you need to set the project. Setting a project makes your life way easier when in Maya, as it allows for the organization of files straight from within the software itself. Also, it makes file management a lot simpler to do and a lot simpler to work with. As you know where all your files are in one place, all in one place, you don't have to worry about the location of them, and Maya takes care of the rest of it. In order to do this, just press File, Set Project, and then set the location. A window will appear, and then all you have to do is set as default workspace after. Next, we have using image planes. Why recreate an image from scratch when you can just trace the image back out? It is way faster than doing it from scratch. Tracing images makes them look way better than if you draw them from hand in an attempt to copy them. Take this image on the right. Why recreate that yourself when you could just take that and trace it over? Say the GIF at the bottom left. This person traced it over and it looks just as detailed as the original copy. Saves you a lot of time and it's a lot more accurate. Game studios use this in a way where they call it model sheets, i.e. just blueprints to be followed. So the drawings on the right are ideal for that. Those are the blueprints for the designers to follow, and that's the designs that they got to make for the character. Next, we have model to scale. Ideally, when designing, most scales we follow are that of the human body. So you have to make objects to the correct scale, as it makes everything look more realistic when combining with other designs. Assets need to combine together without there being many issues, which is what the average human size scaling is used for. So yeah, as I mentioned, the average scale would be the size of the average human. And take the two images here. Take the model on the right as our scaling, and then take the game on our left. The measurements they would have used for the characters on the left would determine the size of the other objects around them. So take the character that is in front of the door frame and compare their size to the door frame. If you take that character model and use that as your basis throughout the game, it's way easier to determine what size everything should be, because you have the character size that they need to suit. Naming assets. This is the one thing everybody should do, as it makes organization so much better. Organization is used in every single workplace for ease of efficiency and so that many people can work together on one project, therefore making collaboration significantly easier. Naming conventions when used in any capacity makes everything a lot easier to locate, especially when working on large map designs and projects with a lot of files attached to it. Overall, it just makes everything a lot simpler and a lot easier to understand. You don't have to go far to look for a specific object if you've named it correctly. Next, we have setting pivots. Setting pivot points is the easiest way to faster production processes. If you set the pivot point properly, it makes the production of games and assets a lot faster, as it allows for necessary assets to be made without spending more time than necessary on one asset, especially when there are multiple assets. Game design companies use modular workflows for this. It allows them to snap together assets without having to make too many corrections to them. So take this image on the right. Take the pieces that are just lying down or just around that aren't put together. This wouldn't take long to put together when using modular workflows, as you just snap all the pieces that need in the correct place and they should just function together. And finally, we have delete history. in Maya likes to save all actions made within it whilst keeping a history that you can go back to. It's like instead of having to spam undo repeatedly, instead you can just go back to the history and use that and go back to that point. These history files need to be removed in order to prevent Maya files from becoming unstable. So ideally we just press edit, delete by type, and then delete history. And therefore, when you go to access the Maya project later on, you don't have to worry about there being any issues or it being unstable. The only special cases we keep the history are during animation and creating procedural assets.